Welcome to the Book Tea with V.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Book Tea with V. I hope everyone has had an amazing week. This week has been super busy for me and it is freezing in Australia. I mean, I am a little bit dramatic. I am, I'll admit it, but it's hot water bottle season. I've got one on me right now. But as always, let's start and let's talk some pop culture. Now, this week's pop culture, it was so funny because I was going through some articles and I came across ABC News did an article and it basically said that romance novels were shaping the way teens view relationships and love, and it was all down to social media. And it just had me thinking that how incredible that is and how far the romance genre has come and just what sort of books they might be reading, I guess. I know for me personally, romance books always gave like an idealistic relationship, like, you know, that man should always be treating his woman well. Like there are some books that really do and have shaped the way that I view relationships and men, I guess, particularly. And you would have heard me say this all the time, The Takeover by T.L. Swan. Why this article sang to me so much is because in a way it's true. And I would not have found The Takeover by T.L. Swan had a friend not recommended that book to me. I wouldn't have found other books that have sung to me if it wasn't for Book Talk. And The Takeover, Tristan Miles, the main character in that book, he was just, I don't even know how to describe it, but I feel like I'd never read a MMC like him. And it was after that book that I was like, I want a man like that. I want a relationship like that. I want all these things that I probably didn't even realize I actually deep down wanted. And it was after that book that I started to think of what I wanted. And, you know, about a year later, I have a relationship that I'm really, really proud of. And I always look back to that book and I think that was the catalyst. That was the start. So if you haven't read that article, I will post it below just so that you can have a read because, as I said, I just found it really interesting and it actually kind of hit home. So what's the book tea this week? Now, this week's really interesting because I hadn't seen any videos previously about Twisted Love or the Twisted series by Anna Huang becoming a movie or a TV series. So when she put out I guess, what was it on? It was on TikTok. And she put out a video and basically said, look, if I don't say that something's going ahead or that something is confirmed, it's not a thing. So what she was referring to, I'm not entirely sure. I believe it was because then I started seeing all these videos about, Twisted Love is going to become a series or Twisted Love is going to become a movie. So I thought that it might be to do with that. But I'm delusional. So when she said, if it's not confirmed, then it's not confirmed. I was like, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. Are we still going to get one? Is it something that still might happen? I think it would be actually a great series to do for a movie or for a TV series. Like imagine like sort of a Bridgerton situation where you've got the one series for the first book, the second book. I think that would be really good. And if she isn't in talks to do that right now, she should be. And the second bit of book tea that we have is Emily McIntire gave us the cover reveal for Hexed. It is stunning. I don't know what it is about this book, but it has me captivated already. The FMC is the villain. Slow burn. I've read Hooked from her. I've read Scarred, but I haven't continued with this series. I absolutely will be now because this one is going to be out in November. But if you haven't seen the tropes, if you haven't seen the cover, run to Emily McIntire's any socials that she has. I think this book is going to be one of the best books of the year. But I don't know. I'll come back to this episode, but I honestly think it's going to be right up there. There's just something about it. The colors on the cover are so beautiful. Very excited. So what have I been reading this week? The first book that I read was Thorns of Desire by Eva Winners. I'm just doing a deep dive into Eva Winners' book catalog at the moment. She can't write a bad book. It's not possible. I don't know. Her books sing to me. The plot is always keeps me guessing. Even when there's times where I'm like, oh, yep, saw that coming. I get cocky and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan and I'm like, I did not see that coming. Spice is always great. But the characters because they're all interconnected, I feel like I'm so much more connected to the stories because I know those characters from previous stories. So Thorns of Desire, this is the 5th book in the Thorns of Amara. I'm so bad at pronouncing anything, that series. And age gap, it was just so good. Thorns of Silence is my favorite of the series so far, but I definitely recommend this book if you are after age gap. It's obviously mafia, secret romance. It follows Athena and Manuel. Now, Manuel, he is in the mafia, as we know, but Athena has been in the friendship group that we have seen previously in previous books. She has been one of my favorite characters, and I've been so excited and waiting for her book to come out. It did not disappoint. There's themes with her mother, she's just shady. Give it a go. I highly recommend. Now, my second book that I read was Monstrous Urges by Jagger. Now, this book, and just Jagger in general, I became obsessed with right from reading Deviant Hearts. That was my first Jagger book. I have not looked back. Now, this new series, the Venomous Gods series, it is taking my breath away. Toxic Love, the first book in the series, is one of my top reads of the year. There was just something about it where I was just hooked. I was so engrossed in that story. I could not put it down. But I have to say, Monstrous Urges is right up there, right next to it, because I wanted Taylor's story, and we meet Taylor through the previous books, and same with Drazen. But I wasn't expecting the plot to go where it did. It was a 4.5 star for me, 5 chilies. Yes, 5 chilies for me. Check your trigger warnings. This series is dark. There are dark themes. So just, look into that if you haven't read this series yet. But if you're fine with those triggers, these books are amazing. This book in particular follows Taylor. She is a really successful lawyer. And Drazen, he is Bratva. When these two collide, first of all, when I was reading the book, they sort of meet through a app, and it's a sexy app. But then he realizes who she actually is. And it turns out that Taylor is his wife from 15 years ago who ran away from him and betrayed him. What? This plot took me through a tumble dryer. There were bits that I saw coming, but again, I just got cocky with it. I was like, yes, I know where this is going. And then all of a sudden, it just spun me around. I could not recommend this book anymore. And then the last book that I've been reading is Play Along by Liz Tomforde. I love this series so much. The Windy City series it just has such a special place in my heart, and The Right Move is my favorite book to date. I don't know, I felt so connected to Indy within that book, but the whole series is beautiful. Play Along, there's just such a sweetness to Asaya and Kennedy, and you will not help but fall for them. And Asaya is just cinnamon roll, but still sexy and strong. And I feel like Liz Tomforde creates FMCs that I can really relate to. And I really related to Kennedy, and just, the way that she had to trust someone to be so that she could be who she really was. It was just a beautiful story. I am just about a couple of chapters from the end, but I think this is a 4.5 star for me. Spice, I would say 3. Highly recommend already. I want to talk about a book that is on my immediate TBR, because I am having, again, the biggest case of FOMO because of Book Talk. They are talking about, and what I'm seeing everywhere, is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. It is fae, it's fantasy, it's slow burn, enemies to lovers. But the way people are getting so excited about it, it's giving me heart palpitations at this point. I just really need to read it. So this week, I will be reading that book, and I will let you know what I think, because yet again, Book Talk has won. I'm ignoring my TBR, physical and Kindle TBR, for this book. So I'll let you know my thoughts next week. So now it's time for our interview segment of the podcast, and I am so excited to say that Catherine Cowles is with us this week. Catherine Cowles, it is such a pleasure to have you on the Book Tea with V. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And you might have noticed I've got a certain t-shirt
Oh,
on.
Anson's t-shirt, just perfect. I love it so much. It's been so fun to see people's pictures in the t-shirts, and like some people's kids have stolen them, or like they'll take a picture with their pet with the t-shirt on. So it's a good one.
And it's so comfy, it's so cute. And I think the first time I
Aw.
put it on, like I'm pretty much I wear like a lot of dark colors. So when my
Uh-huh.
partner came in one of the days that I was wearing it, he's like, "Whoa, I don't think."
Oh my,
And then he looked
trying
at
to
one
get you in your pink era.
Oh, I am there. I am in my small town cowboy pink era now. It's a thing.
I love it.
Now you have been a busy woman lately. You have just been
I
at,
have.
so many events.
I
How has it all
know.
been?
It's been so fun. Book Bonanza this last year was really, really special. So my first ever signing was Book Bonanza. I think it was 2019. And I was a new author. I think I had like 3 books out. I was so overwhelmed because it's such a big event. But I just was welcomed by their team with such open arms. And so it's always special for me to go back. And I was quite emotional that it was the last year.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I remember seeing you at an event back in April, and you were busy. There was, it must be such a after the 2000 and when you started, like how
Yeah.
it's grown for you.
No, it's really true. I was telling a friend that signings are the one time where we really get to experience kind of all the different lives that we touch and all the different readers that are out there. It's the first time we get to see it like as a physical manifestation of this dream and career. And it's just really, really special. And I think, Book Bonanza in particular, because it's a larger signing, I think it kind of has a little bit more of that, it's just so nice.
Oh wow, what a moment. That's so,
Yeah.
congratulations with all the success.
Aw,
I
thank
can totally
you.
see why. But oh, there's our friend.
I know. I've got a little critter friend here who likes to say hello. His name is Ro, and he's my faithful companion with me always.
Oh, I love that. We travel like so much at the moment that it's getting
Yeah,
to the point where I'm like, I really just want a place where I can settle now because I just want a
yeah.
pet. I miss the
I
companionship.
know. It's so nice. But I will say I'm traveling more this year than I normally do. And so my
He's a bit
mom usually
sooty.
gets in roped into taking care of him, and she's like, "Okay, so how many trips is it again this year?" I'm like, "So sorry."
You now have a dog half time.
Exactly.
But I want to start at the beginning because obviously I know
Yes.
that you're a writer, but you're also an avid reader. And
Yes.
I guess I want to know, did you always love the romance genre?
It's funny. I read my very first romance was a Nora Roberts romance, who I absolutely love. It's probably why I got into writing suspense myself, is because she writes so many beautiful romantic suspense books. But I didn't get really, really hooked in until I was in my 20s. I actually hurt my back in a horseback riding accident, and I was laid up. And I was reading a ton at the time. I wasn't sleeping very well. And I started devouring Jennifer L. Armentrout books, but I started with her YA stuff. That was just kind of how I got in there. And I remember the first book of hers that like went into new adult, and I was listening to the audio and I was like on a walk, and then all of a sudden it went into a spicy scene, and it wasn't even like that spicy, but I was like so shocked in the moment. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? And I was like, okay, I'm hooked.
Give me another one.
Yes, exactly.
Are you still a horse rider? Is that something that you still do? Or
I'm not anymore, but I love horses still. So I would love to get back into it. My back is a lot better than it was. So maybe one of these days I'll get to get back into it.
it's scary when you get older, though, isn't it? Like I'm a horse
I
rider myself,
know.
and
Oh, I didn't know that.
funny enough, it was I wouldn't say like a major accident, but I guess
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, we had like a very near fall. And I think the
Yeah.
impact of when the horse sort of saved us both, I was like, oh, that was very, very close. I don't like how
Yeah.
that made me feel. I'm not,
I
it's not like a
know.
spring back anymore. It's that was
That
really
was exactly it, because I rode competitively for many years during high school, and I like I had so many falls. Like I ended up in the ER a few times. Like I had like bad falls and I like bounced back within a week or two. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm fine, back on. And this wasn't even that bad of a fall, but like I twisted, the horse bucked and I did come
Yeah.
off and I twisted as I fell. And I just did not bounce back the same way I used to. So I think that's just the name of the game as we get older, unfortunately.
I know. Like, I credit to anyone who's out there still competing. Like, I don't know what you're
Yes.
competing in. Mine was show jumping.
That
But
was,
I look
well, I did hunters, but yeah, basically
ah!
very similar. Yeah.
As I look at those fences now, I was like, did I really do that?
I
I was
know. And
only
some of them are so high, especially in show jumping. Oh my goodness. They're like as tall as you are.
literally, it's a cross pole on the floor now, and I'm like,
I
they're
know.
going to the
That's
Olympics.
enough.
This is great. So I know that obviously you do a lot of writing, and I don't know if you get much reading in, but
Yeah.
I do want to know if I know it's hard to do one, but if you had to choose a favorite book, what would it
Oh my
be?
gosh. Okay. So it's so hard, but I think I have to give two. So one is The Obsession by Nora Roberts. I think just because Nora was my first romance, like kind of experience, she has such a special place in my heart, and I love reading her romantic suspenses. That's one of them that I absolutely loved. And then I just devoured Fourth Wing. Like I loved it so, so much. It was the
Same.
first time in quite a while that a book just took me by storm. I think when I
Mhm.
became a writer, it's harder to kind of turn your brain off a little bit and really get sucked into those worlds. And man, did that book just captivate me. And I mean, I'm a fangirl ever since.
Honestly, same. I'm with you there. I wasn't in my fantasy era at the time, but I've
Yeah,
just that book been trying to find something that hits me the
I
same.
know.
Haven't quite got there yet.
Me
Haven't quite.
either. Nothing has really captivated in the same way. And so I'm just, we're going to have to hold on to hope in between releases in that series.
And it's not like you're not busy enough, I guess,
I know.
because I know that you write small town romance, but you're
Yeah,
also a true crime podcast fan. Do
I
you find
am.
that helps with the scenes and the things that the suspense part of how you write?
It does 100%. I get a ton of ideas from podcasts. And when I'm starting to think about a new series, I will like look at different podcasts and I'll search within like even like podcast forums. Like if I'm like, oh, I really want to write like a stalker story, I'll look for that sort of thing. Um, and it's not like I ever write the exact stories, but there's usually like a kernel of something in there, something creepy usually that happened that I'm like, ooh, this would be good. And then I'm like, a whole different story kind of spins out of that idea.
I love that because when I first saw it, because before I talk to anyone, I'm like, I need
Yeah.
to do a bit of stalking on what's available on the website, and it said lover of true crime podcasts. And I was
Yep.
like, I just wonder because that's something that you're interested in, and obviously it's an element in your book. So I was like, I wonder if that
Yep.
ties up, and you get some ideas, or you're
It
just
definitely
listening and you're like,
does.
ooh, terrible, but it could work here.
But exactly. I know. I'm like, this is horrible. Perfect.
This is going to go down brilliantly.
I know.
And you have so many series out there now. I know that the Tattered and Torn
Yes.
is super popular, Lost and
Yeah.
Found series, just to name a couple. And I'm
Yes.
just deep diving through them at the moment. Do you have,
Oh,
though,
thank you.
a favorite series so far? And just to be even more cruel, a favorite book or character so far?
Ooh, this is so hard. So I think the two series that really stand out for me are Tattered and Torn
Mhm.
and the series that we're in now, Sparrow
Yeah.
Falls. Those have both just been really special writing experiences. And sometimes I think you can just feel in your bones a little bit when like a series or a story is going to be special. And I really felt that way when I when I wrote Tattered Stars and when I wrote Fragile Sanctuary, like kind of going into developing those worlds. I just kind of felt this buzz. And it's really fun because we work really hard and when all of it kind of comes together in the perfect way, it's really, really rewarding.
Oh, I love that. And so if you had to choose a book,
A favorite. Okay. So some authors will say like, oh, it's whatever I'm working on now, but I am a little bit ruthless with my favorites. And I will tell you that I do have a favorite, and I usually have a favorite book in each series.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I recently wrote something that is my favorite book that I've written so far, and that is Delicate Escape that's coming up next.
Wow.
It just is like kind of like one of those books of the heart, And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited and at the same time horribly nervous for everyone to read it.
No, and we'll get on to Delicate Escape in a second because her character Thea,
Yeah.
she, as much as I loved Fragile Sanctuary, I couldn't get enough of
Yeah.
it. And I kept going, where are you going? What is your story? There is something there.
Yay!
I was all about her. And just
Oh,
that whole
thank you.
golden retriever vibe of,
Yeah.
I can't wait. I actually can't wait. I was
Oh, that
hoping they
makes
would
me
do
so
the next.
happy. Yes. So I put a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears into that book, and it wasn't necessarily like the easiest writing process, but it has been my most rewarding for sure. So I'm just giddy for people to get their hands on it, and I think it's going to be really rewarding.
Oh, definitely. It's one of my most anticipated reads, like Fragile
Thank
Sanctuary.
you.
It is. Fragile Sanctuary really surprised me because I think I've never had a small town like suspense romance before.
Yeah,
So you were the first. And
I'm so glad.
I loved it. And I think what I love about small town anyway is just that found family, that, there's always these funny characters like with the
Yeah,
nans, the grandmas, and the brothers, and the setup of Fragile Sanctuary and Sparrow Falls with all the, where the children or teenagers came from. They've all got a story.
yeah.
I couldn't be more invested in so many characters at once. Sparrow
Oh,
Falls,
thank you.
I've said this online. I want to live there. I want to be in Sparrow Falls.
Yay.
I want to be with one of the men. I want to be there. Just don't tell my
I
boyfriend.
love it. Yeah, we won't tell him. Shh.
No, he doesn't. Wait. Is there something like special to you about Sparrow Falls that just you love the most, or something that sticks out to you
Yeah.
about this series? I know it's only 1 to 2 books so far, but is there anything that you just loved
Yeah.
about writing it so far?
So I write a little bit ahead. So I have written a number of books in the series actually already, which is great. So I'm kind of like right in the midst of it, which is a fun kind of place to be because I'm close enough to the book that's out and the book that's coming out, but I know what's going to happen in the end. And so I kind of have a hold of all of it. And I think the thing that has been the most special to me is really that found family dynamic. It's one of the things that I love most in romance is kind of creating that sense of belonging, creating that sense of home. And I feel like this series kind of took that to another level for me, just in terms of the type of family that they are, which is a combination of, blood relations and adoption and fostering, and really like the message of you can make your own family. And I just really love that. And I think we kind of all long for that sense of belonging. And I think this series kind of gives it to us in a really sweet way. And I've loved writing that.
Oh, I can so see why, because Fragile Sanctuary, I felt like with Rhodes, they're just so likable, and the family is so protective that you end up going, I want to protect them all too. You're so invested.
Yes.
They're just for each other. There's no really hidden agenda between the family. They're just so, and I think that from a reader's perspective, the connections of maybe not being blood related actually brought them closer as a family. And it was just like,
I
no,
agree. It's a choice. They are choosing to have these bonds and to continue these bonds. And I think as the series goes on, we'll see that they were all there for each other in really kind of difficult moments in like their formative years. And so that has created an extra strong bond.
I love it. And I'm going to be cheeky in the next set of questions. I'm going to do what I can. I want to Delicate Escape because again, it's on my mind. I can't wait. And you've just recently showed us the cover reveal. We've had some of the tropes. Let me tell you, I can't wait. There's too many days. But I will wait. I will wait as
I'm so
patiently as I
glad.
can.
Thank you.
No, I do. I adore the series. And is there anything, without giving too much away, that you can tell us about Delicate Escape?
Ooh, that's a great one. I think what would be a good tease for us with Delicate Escape? I gave this away in the in kind of the trope reveals, but there is a roommates to lovers storyline, and that pushes the two of them together in a humorous yet really tender way. You kind of grow to learn what what happened to Thea and what makes her so reticent to let really anyone into her orbit. And I think the thing that was the most rewarding for me in writing it was just how understanding Shep was of that. Like, she just needed a really understanding. I mean, she needed a golden retriever. Like, she deserves it. And seeing him kind of come alongside her and figure out how to navigate those triggers with her was just like, that is the thing that I think the most excited for people to read and just go on that journey with them. I think by the time they get together, it's like we're all rooting for both of them individually so much that I think it means so much more when they finally do. So I'm very excited.
And I love the fact that he's a golden retriever. I feel like, yes, we love an MMC that's grumpy, and we love an MMC that's a bit, dark and toucher and, you're on. But there is something really endearing about when a FMC, a female main character, is, she's gone through trauma. She's gone through so much. And to have someone that is strong but has that soft element to, I fold.
Yes.
Like
I know. Same. And I think like that's what's nice about a series is like you can kind of go on the roadmap of seeing like how these different personalities kind of come together, and we can enjoy like the more alpha moments from one character, and we can enjoy the really sweet and tender, like acts of service is totally Shep's love language. Like, he will do anything for her. So
you just continually to make me fall in love.
Yes, this was my evil plan.
It's working. I'm not mad about
I love
it. If that helps.
I'm so glad.
You've said that there's, the couple of characters that you're bringing out, and you're able to go, right, you are this, and you're going to bring this to the books. Another cheeky one. Is there anything you can tell us about the future of the series? Who might get a book? I don't need to know couples.
I love this. Okay, so I know this is I feel like there's very little I can say without giving anything away. But I will say that there are some surprises in store as we move along for things that maybe are a little unexpected. But I will also say that I think the thing that everyone is rooting for the most, at least in my DMs, they will most likely get. So just keep them on the hook.
If you know.
There we go. I love it.
But I think, and that's the thing, and you would be getting this from all of your series as it's gone along. Our theories, we get so into our theories of who.
I know.
Have you found that any theories be like so far from what's going to happen? Or have you been like, oh no, that could actually, you're onto something there?
Some have been like things that I haven't expected, that are fun, even though I know they're not going to happen. Like, it's fun to hear. And then there are ones where I've laid little breadcrumbs and people are just gobbling them up and like following it instantly. Someone was like, you're like Taylor Swift in how you like to leave your little clues. And I'm like, exactly. I learn from the best.
In Taylor we trust.
Exactly.
Well, I won't try to get any more out of you. I think actually it's kind of brought me onto a question that I didn't even realize I had. Yeah. With your small town romance and suspense, do you think that's something that after this series that you'll continue with? Is there anything else you've gone, oh, I'd like to dabble in that? Or, anything that comes to mind?
Yes. So I love books with some element of mystery. I think it would
Mhm.
be really hard for me to write a straight contemporary romance, but
Yeah.
I love reading paranormal and fantasy. So like I could see myself doing that one day. I think that has like an intrinsic mystery element to it because of the
Mhm.
supernatural piece. So I would love to do that one day. You never know. Maybe I'll be entering my fantasy era or something.
I will be right there. I was not
Yes.
expecting that answer at all. That's so much fun.
Yeah, I think I've loved reading it because it feels like more of an escape, because I write contemporary romance, romantic suspense. It
Yes.
feels nice to read something that's like more,
Like polar opposite to what you're
yes,
writing, so you're
exactly.
not getting lost in two
Yeah,
worlds. Well, you are getting lost in two worlds. It's not like
yeah,
combining them.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun. Oh god, you're such a
Yeah.
cool cat. Um, you are. You're so cool.
Aw, thank you.
I guess with the final question, where can people come and see you this year? Where are you gonna
Oh,
be?
that's a
What are your
great
plans
question.
for the next,
Yes.
18, like 12 months from here? Maybe
Yeah.
no. Where are you gonna be? Where can I see
So
you?
exactly. I am heading to Romance Invades the Canadian Rockies this
Mhm.
July up in Calgary. And then I am doing Book Bash in Kentucky with Source Books. They have picked up some of the paperback rights to Tattered Stars. And so I'm
Wow.
doing their event. And I'm super excited about that. It's my first one with them. And then a year from September, so September
Mhm.
2025, I am doing Kristen Proby's signing in Montana. I think it's called Books by the Lake, and those tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but I think that's going to be really fun because it's a little bit of a smaller event, and I
Nice.
think we're going to be able to get to spend like a little more time with readers, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I'm so annoyed. We go to Canada in August. We go to Calgary, Alberta. We miss
No.
it. We miss it by like days because I had no
Oh
idea.
my gosh. I want you to move your trip so I can see you. I'm not
We
selfish
go
or
to
anything.
Kentucky. Oh well, I'll have to book another trip.
There we go. Dang it.
Uh, For anyone who doesn't know, Delicate Escape is out on the 22nd of August. And I, for one, I cannot wait. I would love to have you back and we can discuss
Oh,
more
that
of
would be
this
so
series.
fun. I'd love to.
Yay! Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for having a
much.
chat with me today. I've wanted this for a long time since I got into Sparrow Falls and I've started getting into more small
Yay.
town romance of yours. I'm just obsessed. I was like, I have to talk
Oh,
to her.
thank
I need to get
you.
inside that brain.
Well, this was so much fun. I'm glad you're up for my evil genius ways.
Always, always. More evil the better. I'm here for it.
Yay. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Catherine Cowles has to be one of the sweetest humans I've ever met. We both attended the same signing a couple of months ago, but when I got to her table, she was just so busy. We weren't able to have a chat. So to have the opportunity to speak with her was just amazing. I'm obsessed with Sparrow Falls, her latest series, and I honestly cannot wait for Delicate Escape. If I could jump into any series, it would be Sparrow Falls. So let's look at the books that you need to be aware of this week. So there are a few coming up. We've got Fall With Me by Becka Mack. It's from the Playing for Keeps series and out on the 31st of July. I absolutely loved Consider Me. It's still one of my favorite sports romances. It was the first time that I really connected with the cinnamon roll MMC. I loved it. I'm sure I'm going to love this. Now, the second book you need to be aware of is The Hunted Heir. It's by Holly Renee. It's the Veiled Kingdom series, book 2. I haven't even read book 1. It's on my TBR, as is everything else, but it's actually starting to stress me out how much is on my TBR. And I genuinely don't think I'm ever going to finish all the books I want to read. That one is out on the 23rd of July. And then the third and final book that you need to be aware of is by Willow Aster, and it's called Mad Love. It's already out, but I'm seeing it everywhere. And the amount of 5 stars, I feel like if I'm now aware of it, you need to be too. It's added to my TBR. Let's see how it is. That is all for today on the Book Tea with V. I hope you had such a good time with us. And yeah, I'll see you next week. That's the tea.